Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm always kind of fascinated by how the same word can mean totally different things depending on where you are in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And when it comes to Reiki, those little translation quirks can really change how we see the whole practice.
Right.
Like when we say Reiki Master, what do we actually mean?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Awesome.
We'll be exploring this idea and so much more, using this super insightful blog post as our guide for today's deep dive.
Okay.
It's called Am I a Reiki Master? And it's by Bronwen Logan.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's been practicing Reiki for over 2 decades now, written a whole bunch of books on the topic.
Wow.
And she even co-hosts the Reiki Women podcast.
So cool.
So yeah, safe to say she knows her stuff.
Definitely. Sounds like it.
And right off the bat, she points out that the term Reiki Master might not be the most accurate way to describe this level of practice.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Especially when we consider Reiki's Japanese roots.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up a good point. Because Bronwen actually highlights how a lot of the confusion around this term comes from how we've translated Japanese concepts into English.
I can totally see that happening.
Yeah, and a perfect example of this is the word sensei.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Which we often just translate as master.
Right.
But in Japanese culture, it's actually way more nuanced than that.
Okay, so what does sensei actually mean when we talk about Reiki?
Well, it's more about acknowledging someone's experience and knowledge, like you would a teacher or a mentor. It's a sign of respect, for sure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean they've reached some kind of ultimate mastery or authority over others.
Wow, that actually makes me think about how some Reiki students might make their teachers feel uncomfortable by, constantly calling them master.
Yeah.
It kind of clashes with that sense of humility that's such a big part of Reiki.
Exactly. And this misinterpretation can even impact how people approach learning and teaching Reiki.
How so?
Well, imagine a student thinks they can become a master after just a weekend course.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see what you mean.
It sets up some pretty unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
And it really downplays the years of dedicated self-practice that it actually takes to truly embody Reiki.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's like comparing getting a master's degree to attending a weekend workshop.
Yeah.
The time and effort involved are just on completely different levels.
And Bronwen brings up another, misnomer or mistranslation.
Oh, yeah.
About Mikao Usui, the founder of Reiki.
Right.
Being called Dr. Usui.
Yeah, that's another case of sensei getting a bit lost in translation.
Oh.
Usui didn't actually have formal medical training, but the title Doctor was probably used to, boost his credibility, especially when Reiki was first being introduced to Western cultures.
It kind of feels like they were trying to fit Reiki into that Western medical model.
Yeah, I see that.
Which, let's be honest, doesn't really do it justice.
Not really.
But hey, I'm glad they brought Reiki West anyway.
Me too.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about you, the listener.
And your own journey with Reiki.
Right.
I find it so interesting how Bronwen defines our role in Reiki. Not by what level we've reached, but by how actively we engage with the practice.
What do you think about that?
Oh, that's powerful.
Right.
It really shifts the focus from collecting certificates to actually living the practice.
Yeah, I love that.
Reiki is not about getting a title and then just coasting on that accomplishment.
Definitely not.
It's about consistently weaving those principles and techniques into your daily life.
That's what it's all about.
So it really is about more than just those external markers of progress.
It is.
It's so easy to get caught up in those things.
Absolutely.
Like getting that next certificate or reaching a certain level.
It's tempting for sure.
But I think Bronwen's blog post is really reminding us that true mastery comes from embodying the practice.
Right.
Not just accumulating knowledge or checking boxes.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. And some people might argue that, having those titles like Reiki Master can provide a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it could even motivate them to keep learning.
Definitely.
What do you think about that perspective? Is there any validity to that?
I think there's definitely value in acknowledging those milestones, as we move through our Reiki journey.
Right.
But I think the danger lies in attaching our sense of worth as practitioners to those titles. You know what I mean? If we start believing that our legitimacy as a practitioner hinges on having that label, then I think we've kind of missed the point.
You're saying the real transformation happens when we shift our focus inward.
Exactly.
From external validation to internal growth.
Yes.
It's like saying you're a musician just because you own a guitar. Right.
Yeah.
It's the act of playing,
Totally.
practicing and expressing yourself through the music that really makes you a musician.
Absolutely.
Not just having the instrument.
It's about the doing, not the having.
And that's what Bronwen calls active engagement with Reiki, right?
Okay.
It's about consistently integrating the principles and techniques into our lives.
Exactly.
Not just treating it like a weekend hobby.
It's a way of life.
So practically speaking, what does that even look like?
That's a great question.
Like, how can we move beyond just the knowledge and truly embody Reiki?
Well, it starts with understanding that Reiki is so much more than just a set of hand positions or symbols to memorize. It's a whole philosophy.
Yeah.
It invites us to approach everything.
Everything with
Compassion.
mindfulness.
Yeah.
And a deep connection to our own intuition.
So it's not just about giving ourselves Reiki every now and then.
Oh.
It's about living and breathing those principles in every aspect of our lives, in our relationships, at work, everywhere.
Exactly.
And I bet someone listening right now is like, okay, I get it. Active engagement is key.
But where do I even start?
Right.
Like, what are some actual things they can do to make Reiki more integrated into their lives?
Well, it's going to look different for everyone, of course.
Yeah.
But a few simple practices that could help are maybe starting each day with a short self-Reiki session.
Okay.
Setting an intention to approach everything with more compassion and understanding, or even using the Reiki principles to guide your decisions throughout the day.
I like that.
Little things like that can make a big difference.
And I imagine that the more we do this, the more it becomes second nature.
Absolutely.
To just see the world through a Reiki lens.
Yeah.
Even without consciously trying.
Right. It becomes a part of you.
It's like anything else we practice, right?
Yeah.
The more we do it, the more ingrained it becomes.
Exactly.
And maybe as we deepen our connection with Reiki in this way, those external markers of progress, like titles and certificates, maybe those become less and less important.
Because the validation is coming from within.
It's exactly.
Not from the outside.
And that resonates so much with the heart of Reiki.
It really does.
It's about personal growth, self-healing, and trusting our own inner wisdom.
Yes, and honoring our own unique journey with Reiki.
And trusting that we're exactly where we need to be in this moment.
It's not a race, it's a journey.
I love that.
To be savored.
I feel like this whole conversation is really challenging us to look beyond those superficial aspects of Reiki.
Yeah.
And connect with its true heart and soul.
I agree.
It's about embracing a way of life.
A way of being.
Not just learning some techniques.
Exactly.
And that's a really beautiful invitation.
It is.
To step into a more conscious, compassionate, and connected way of being in the world.
I love that.
Yeah, it really is about honoring the roots of the practice.
It is.
And approaching it with that, like reverence and appreciation for where it came from.
And I think it's easy to lose sight of that when we're so focused on getting those titles and the external validation. I think that's really common for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into that trap
Right.
of thinking that progress is linear, like there's some end goal to reach.
Yeah.
But really, the journey is the destination.
I like that.
It's about constantly learning and growing.
Yeah.
And deepening that connection with Reiki.
And that journey can look so different for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
There's no one right way to practice.
Exactly. Some people might find their groove with those daily self-treatments.
Okay.
While others might be more drawn to sharing Reiki with their loved ones. Or even going down that professional path.
And about honoring our own unique path.
It is.
And trusting that we're right where we're supposed to be. It reminds us that we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves. That we're all contributing to this like ripple effect of healing that goes way beyond our own individual practices.
Each one unique and essential to the overall beauty and integrity of the whole design.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about something else that Bronwen brought up.
Oh, yeah.
She emphasized that in our practice, just like in life, it's not about the title.
Right.
But about the genuine impact we have on ourselves and others through our practice.
Such a good point.
No matter what level we've reached.
Or what title we hold.
It's about showing up with compassion,
Yes.
presence, and an open heart.
On and off the mat.
Exactly. And weaving those Reiki principles into everything we do.
Every interaction.
Yeah.
Of every decision.
And as we do that, as we really embody the true essence of Reiki, those titles and certificates start to fade away.
Yeah.
And what's left is that deep sense of purpose,
Yeah.
connection, and fulfillment.
That's what it's all about.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It has.
And I hope it's given you some things to think about
Yeah.
on your own Reiki journey.
Reflect on what active engagement really means to you.
It's a lifelong journey of discovery.
It is.
And each moment is a chance to deepen our connection with Reiki.
So beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
It was a pleasure being here.
And until next time, keep diving deep into the things that spark your curiosity and ignite your soul.